Hey everybody, what's up? First of all, to my regular subscribers, this is a Lost podcast. So this is about Lost episode 409 called The Shape of Things to Come. So if you're not into Lost, just tell me you were here, say hello. Otherwise, for all you regulars, tonight is about Lost. So I'm going to give spoilers and whatnot. You guys know the drill. So if you haven't watched Lost episode 409, please leave now. Okay. Before I get into this, just a quick programming note. Originally, they had created 8 episodes of Lost before the writer's strike. And the one that we watched on Thursday night was episode 9 after like a 4-week break. And I guess the way with everything that happened with the strike, they were going to do 5 more episodes instead of the normal 8. They were going to do 16 this season. They cut it down to 13. I guess, from what I understand, they're doing an extra hour now, so we're getting 14 episodes instead of 13. So that's pretty cool. The past few episodes have been quite condensed the way it is with cutting it down to 16. So that's some good news. We got an extra hour. Where it's going to fit in, I don't know. If they're going to extend the season or just have a couple 2-hour episodes. So, for those of you not knowing that, there you go. Okay. The episode, The Shape of Things to Come. Wow. This was a Ben story, and I always like it when Ben gets the focus. It starts with him in the desert, which oddly enough looked like the same place that Polar Bear was at in episode 402, 403. So it looks like that might be a place. It looked like that was a time jump, because later on in the story, he asks what day it is, and you find out it's October 24th, 2005. I'm going to have to look into this, but I'm almost 100% sure that it's October, that same day in October that Michael J. Fox jumped in Back to the Future. So you guys might want to look that up. I thought that was a cool little tie-in. So he's in October of 2005. Now, from what we know, the Oceanic 6, the people who get off the island, it has to be before that because of Jin or because of Sun when she had the baby off the island. So it looks to me like, he got cut, he got hurt, and somehow he jumped. After watching it the second time, I noticed that he was wearing that jacket, that heavy winter jacket, and it had a Dharma logo on it. And that Dharma logo is actually from the Orchid station. I'm going to post a video over here, a link. I'm sure most of you Losties have seen it already, but there's a video circulating on the web about the Orchid station. It was on the Season 3 DVD, and they showed it at a Comic-Con coming up to this season. And it's one of the Dharma videos, and they put a bunny, it looks like, for time travel, and then another one comes back. So you've got the physical time travel. So I think that has something to do with the Orchid station, that Ben had that jacket on. I have a feeling, in typical Lost fashion, we're going to see why his arm got cut and why he made that jump. But I kind of wonder if all this stuff that goes down, that the certain people get off the island, if that's not when Ben makes the jump to get off the island as well, or something. I thought this was just a really fascinating episode. On the Ben front, the flash forward isn't that far in the future suddenly, and now we see a little bit more of Saeed's story too, before he's working for Ben. And this was kind of a cool story to see how those two start working together. It was neat in the fact that it really pushed the Ben flash forward story together, and it had much more of a storyline now tying in other characters versus just being a Ben-centric kind of flash forward, if that makes any sense. What else do we know? We see that his revenge and what happens. We see how Widmore, his confrontation with Widmore at the end, how that turns into a downright bloodlust, really. But yet there's some rules, and he says the rules have changed. And what does that mean? What's that all about? I found it interesting. I keep going back to the end of season 3 when Charlie, it said not Penny's boat on his hand. That was a big deal, not Penny's boat. And I think what it means is Penny has no idea that her father is doing this, because it is Whitmore's boat. We know there's Whitmore's people now that are on the island trying to get Ben. So this is definitely a war between Ben and Whitmore. and how the other people on that island, what they have to do with it, I still don't know. But it's definitely not Penny's boat. It's probably his dad's boat, or her dad's boat. And I think it's interesting what a major player she's become on this show, and she's only on maybe a couple times a season. I wonder what this is going to mean to Desmond as well. And do they know that they have Desmond on that freighter? Does Widmore know that? Speaking of Widmore, I noticed when he was in bed, when Ben shows up to talk to him, he had a painting of a ship hanging in the background. That painting, it looks like that's the Black Pearl. That's that pirate ship that we've seen on the island already. And we're supposed to learn more about that this season. So that was a really neat thing. I didn't catch that the first time around. Other points I want to mention. Okay, Alex gets killed. I did not see that coming. After the slaughter of all the kind of extras, I didn't expect anybody else to get killed, especially with Carl and the French woman getting killed last episode. For them to kill Alex like that, it made me realize they're going to do anything now to forward the story, and nobody is safe. Now, granted, she was a secondary character, but the way I couldn't believe how he killed her. It really shows his true character, how he plays the game, how he can turn on the "she's not my daughter, I don't care about her, do what you want," and then how he really does care. So it shows you how manipulating and conniving he is. But then, the really cool part of the episode, for me, and I think for anybody who watched it, was that Ben unleashed the smoke monster. How flippin' cool was that? I mean, this was an all-out assault, pushing those people back into the forest. And it made me think of a couple things. It made me think of, I think it was episode 1 of season 1, when, the perspective of everything is from Jack and Kate and Sawyer and those people on the island, and you hear the smoke monster. Was that Ben already watching them, putting that fear into them? Did he unleash that smoke monster kind of periodically to control them, to control their fear? So I thought that was cool. And then when Ben went into what I'm calling the Bat Cave, I didn't notice this on the first watching, but on the second watching, he comes back and he's covered with ashes and soot. Now, what does that have to do with anything? Well, without, you can't have ashes without smoke. And I remember seeing the cabin, and there was a line of ashes around it. So is Ben the smoke monster? Can he control the smoke monster? I don't know what that all means, but there's definitely some connection now with Jacob, the smoke monster, the cabin, just some all really supernatural stuff going on, and very, very cool. The other thing I wanted to touch on is Jack getting sick. Now, I don't know if it's just him getting like appendicitis or something, or do you guys think, is he getting the disease, the time travel disease, because they're all kind of displaced? And if that's the case, are more people going to start getting sick? The title of the episode was The Shape of Things to Come. They don't put titles on the show for just any old reason. So something's going on with that title. Maybe he's just sick. Maybe it's going to be a story for Juliet that she has to save him, and who knows. But I wonder if it's not something to do with the time travel. Now, interestingly enough, speaking of Jack, you have Sawyer and Claire, and the baby went back with Jack. But Hurley is still there. So what is Hurley going to see hanging out with Locke and Ben that still pushes him so far over the edge? And Miles is going back to the cabin. Now, Miles technically is with the people in charge of this slaughter, the people on Widmore's boat. Oh, and the doctor. I need to mention the doctor. The last time we saw him was last episode, the meet Kevin Johnson, and his throat wasn't sliced. So that has something to do with the time distortion between the boat and the island. And I'm sure in Lost Fashion we're going to see what actually happened in an episode or two. Just the same as we're going to see Ben jumping and why his arm is cut. So there's a lot of cool stuff now. The pieces are falling into place. It's been just a phenomenal season so far. It was a phenomenal episode. So that's all for now. I hope I didn't miss anything. I left my cheat sheet at home, but I had to just get out and walk on this nice day. So that's all for now. Talk to you guys later. Take it easy. Bye.